The situation that I'm going through right now. The situation that I'm going through right now. The situation that I'm going through right now.
Outside the Turtle Point Apartments, where 23-year-old Jaynice Ferguson was shot,
anybody else?
The balloons came as readily as the tears.
And as you see, these balloons are filled with helium, just as we are filled with pain and sorrow.
She hasn't even lived her life. She was only 23 years old, extremely healthy. And a coward came and took her life.
I miss her phone calls. I miss her walking in the house. I miss her telling us, man, I miss y'all. Where y'all been?
Lift our heads in sorrow and
the pain felt by old and young alike tonight, including Ferguson's 11-year-old nephew, Christian.
She was sad. She was brokenhearted. It was hard to see her in that way.
And it's hard to let go of Jaynice. Even as they let go of these balloons,
justice for Jaynice!
They won't let go of the fight.
If they would have taken it serious, I'm telling you, she would be here.
Just after 7 p.m. on January 17th, Houston police responded to the 3400 block of Dunvale Street to the Turtle Point apartment complex for reports of a shooting. Upon arrival, they would locate the body of an unresponsive adult female.
Man is on the run, accused of shooting and killing his ex-girlfriend during an argument on the west side of Houston, where investigators say the man went to his ex-girlfriend's apartment in Dunvale in Richmond just after 7 last night, and the two got into an argument. Cops say the ex-boyfriend pulled a gun.
The victim was identified as 23-year-old Jaynice Ferguson, who was taken to a local hospital where she was sadly pronounced dead after succumbing to a gunshot wound to the thigh. Remarkably, in her final moments in the back of an ambulance, she told an officer that her ex-boyfriend had shot her. Jaynice's current boyfriend spoke with investigators at the crime scene. According to him, Jaynice called him at 6:48 p.m., hysterically shouting that she had been shot by her ex-boyfriend. Moments later, Jaynice's boyfriend arrived and saw a large amount of blood on her leg. He carried her back into the apartment while she talked with the 911 dispatcher. It was then that she would inform them that her ex-boyfriend shot her. In September of 2023, Jaynice's ex showed up to the couple's apartment, demanding to speak to her. The couple refused to let him inside, and Jaynice's boyfriend told him to leave the premises. A look into the case revealed that Jaynice's ex-boyfriend, 46-year-old Algie Washington, stalked and harassed her for 3 years after they broke up, despite multiple calls to police, him putting her in the hospital, and a protection order. The two began dating in 2020, but broke up that same year. Washington couldn't and wouldn't take no for an answer. If he couldn't have her, nobody could. After a 2021 assault, Jaynice was granted a protection order, but another assault charge followed in 2022 after Washington was accused of trying to strangle her. Her family also recalled an incident where Washington wrote and tied a letter to a brick before throwing it into Jaynice's window. Police confirmed they took 2 calls about her tires being slashed, one as late as New Year's Day, and her family says it happened even more times. A look into Washington's past revealed a lengthy criminal history of domestic abuse. He had been convicted of 4 felonies in the past for abusing Jaynice, including aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury, assault of a family member with a previous conviction, assault impeding breathing, and continuous violence against family. Most recently, in March of 2023, Washington was sentenced to 1 year behind bars for assaulting Jaynice. According to court records, Jaynice wouldn't give over her phone, so Washington punched her in the face, choked her, picked up a kitchen knife and scissors, and said she wasn't going to leave. Records showed that in one instance, family members told police that Washington showed up to their home and told them, "If I can't have her, then nobody can." Jaynice's current boyfriend, who she lived with, said Washington also showed up to their apartment once, demanding to speak to her. She also suspected that Washington had slashed her tires in 2 separate instances, but again, she was never able to prove it. Jaynice's family was left devastated. So many questions and so many what-ifs as they replay the events of everything in their mind. They felt as if they did everything in their power to stop something like this from happening. However, perhaps if they would have taken matters into their own hands, Jaynice would still be here.
A woman used her dying breath to tell police her ex-boyfriend shot her moments before she died. And tonight, the family of Jaynice Ferguson is sharing their story only with us here at ABC 13. And ABC 13's Luke Jones is live outside the Harris County Jail where the suspect is being held on a $1 million bond. Luke?
And it's a bond the victim's family hopes he isn't able to post because they say he still poses a danger to other women. They're also questioning why he wasn't stopped sooner after numerous police calls and even a protection order.
I had ever since she was 3 days old.
More than anything else, this father wants his daughter, Jaynice Ferguson, back.
I can't see her no more. I can't put my arm behind her no more.
But since he can't have that, he and his remaining daughters at least want answers. Answers about why, after 3 years of alleged harassment, assaults, and a protection order, police say Algie Washington was still able to track down and kill Ferguson last week at her Southwest Houston apartment.
They would have taken it seriously all the times that he either put her in the hospital, she filed charges, he had a restraining order, and nothing kept him away.
Ferguson started dating Washington in 2020. She broke things off that same year, but her family tells us he refused to take no for an answer.
He would have a brick with a rubber band with a letter on it, and he would break her windows out.
After a 2021 assault, Ferguson was granted a protection order, but the harassment continued, and in 2022, Washington was arrested for trying to strangle Ferguson. Police confirmed they took 2 calls about her tires being slashed, one as late as New Year's Day, and her family says there were even more.
And we did everything in our power, so it almost seems like, as the civilians, if we would have taken this in our own hands, perhaps my sister would have still been here.
If they let him out of jail, I know he's going to go do it again. This is his passion. He has passion doing that.
Keeping their sister's accused killer in jail won't bring her back, but they say it could very well spare others.
Because you took something from me.
This same heartache.
This is what I want.
Justice for Jaynice.
A week after the shooting, Houston police said they developed information on Washington's whereabouts, and officers from the HPD Crime Reduction Unit and SWAT team tracked him down at an apartment complex in the 2500 block of Winrock Street. 46-year-old Algie Washington was arrested and charged with murder. He is being held at the Harris County Jail on a $1 million bond. If he posts bond, he will be on a 24-hour house arrest with the GPS monitoring device and is not allowed to contact Jaynice's family. The case remains ongoing.
He was just seen in front of a magistrate moments ago where his bond was set at $1 million. If Algie Washington does make his bond, he'll have to be on 24-hour house arrest. He'll also need a GPS monitor. And as you just mentioned, I spoke to the victim's family. They tell me that they feel that police failed her and did not protect her. In her final moments in the back of an ambulance, 23-year-old Jaynice Ferguson told an officer her ex-boyfriend had just shot her. Last Wednesday, police say Ferguson was found inside of her apartment on Dunvale Street, shot in the thigh, and later she died at the hospital. A week after her chilling last words, and police have now arrested her ex-boyfriend, Algie Washington, wanted for murder.
Mr. Washington, you are charged with the first-degree felony offense of murder.
Her family told me they're relieved that Washington's behind bars, but feel police never took her concerns seriously after years of reporting his abuse and trying to break free. We spoke to the CEO of Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse, Maisha Coulter.
A couple of things stood out. One was that there had been a long history of different types of family violence crimes, aggravated assault, choking, things like that.
Most recently, in March of 2023, Washington was sentenced to 1 year behind bars for assault. Charging documents say she wouldn't give him her phone, so he punched her in the face, choked her, picked up a kitchen knife and a pair of scissors, and told her she wasn't leaving. According to court documents, her family said sometime in February or March of 2023, he showed up at her father's house and told him, "If I can't have her, then nobody can." What needs to happen for officials to take these type of concerns seriously?
Yeah, I think it's just a mixed response. Certainly there are things within the law that allow police officers to make an arrest when, especially if somebody has a history of domestic abuse, what kind of consequences are we really giving? And are there any interventions that work to really change that behavior so that we don't wind up in a situation where everybody knows it took, everything, she tried everything and she still, lost her life.
And Ferguson's family tells me that there were many times where she called police and asked for help. Her current boyfriend said there was one time where he showed up to their apartment demanding to speak to her. Court records show that there were 2 incidents where her tires were slashed and she believes it was Washington, but there was not enough evidence to prove that.